What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, back with day 17 of the 31 Days of Horror 2022 edition, round 2. Last year I said I'm not going to repeat any directors, and I did once with James Whale. I did Old Dark House and Frankenstein, and this year that rule or motion is out the fucking window because I've already done 3 Argentos. This is the second Romero, and it is none other than 1985's Day of the Dead. This movie is one of me and my dad's favorite films of all times. Like I've said over the years, like countless times, that we refer to these films as the dead guy movies. So any zombie movie was a dead guy movie. So me and my dad, he lived above a variety store, but the variety store sucked dick, and plus it was his landlord. So we would go up the street. There was 2 other variety stores. There was one around the corner and one up the street. So we would go there for our munchies and stuff, and we'd be talking on the way back, like, what are we gonna watch? What are we gonna watch? And my dad would always be like, let's watch a dead guy movie, and I would always be like, yeah, because it was like these types of movies. I swear to God, man, I felt like I was the only person I felt like me and my dad and like my Uncle Mike were like the only people that knew about these movies, because it was before the internet and anything like that, and I grew up reading the Leonard Maltin books. I don't even know if Dawn of the Dead is, or Day of the Dead is in it. I think it might be. I think it's his highest rated, or I think he rates Night higher, and then he writes Day the second highest. But man, so many times I've watched this. Like one more little thing about my dad. So when he lived above that variety store, it was 17 stairs up, right? And I was young. I was probably between maybe 5 or 6 when he moved in there, so, or maybe even 7, but I still was tripped out by movies and stuff, right? But even though he would say they were fake, he would do fucking sketchy shit to make me scared. You know what I mean? Like one time he this is no shit, and he's done it multiple times. I'd be in the bathroom taking a shit, and all of a sudden a fucking knife, he's waving a knife under the door, right? And I was like, dude, what the fuck? And then I think we actually ended up seeing that, or he probably got that from I think Trilogy of Terror. I think that happens in Trilogy of Terror, but still, who the fuck does that to a little kid? But this is one of the things that we resorted to a lot. We were always going for Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I always felt like this movie was the most saddest film, coming from a little kid's perspective. Night of the Living Dead didn't even seem real to me, because black and white films to me just have a different flavor, different texture visually, if that makes sense. So all the Universal films, I grew up on 4 of them. A lot of people grew up on Invisible Man, Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I did with Creature from the Black Lagoon, but not until later on. I've famously told the story of The Blob and Creature from the Black Lagoon being on back to back on TCM. Years ago, we recorded it. My dad made chicken soup. It was cold as fuck out. That is one of my favorite cinematic moments. Just like I talked about recently, the Rambo, when me and my brother and his dad watched all 3 Rambo films, and that really because I wouldn't watch films like Rambo with my dad. I was watching fucking Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and horror films. Omega Man is another one of his favorites. Planet of the Apes, not horror, but still fucking great. I love Planet of the Apes. You know what? I'm actually due to kind of do a Planet of the Apes marathon, all the films, including the new ones, because I do like those new Planet of the Apes films, man. Motherfucker, that the second one, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, is great. But anyways, let's get to fucking Day of the Dead, man. I keep going off on these tangents. So assuming you've seen this film, hopefully you've seen this film. It's one of the best. Chock full of amazing kills, amazing fucking blood. Some of the craziest shit that happens in this fucking movie is I think 2 of them are dream sequency kind of things, which I don't really give a fuck. I don't have a big problem with that. People dream, so a dream sequence isn't that fucking out of the question for me. But at the beginning of the film, when Laurie is standing in front of that calendar and all those hands pop out, I know that those hands are popping out. I just never, I'm counting down in my head. I'm 3, 2, and then boom, they hit, and I'm oh fuck, love that shit. I love the scene where her boyfriend spills his guts, literally, and that other guy spills his guts, and the countless fucking standout zombies. The one with a construction hat. There's a clown. I think there's a football player with the fucking helmet on still. you know, obviously that one in the beginning that they called Dr. Tongue. I don't remember what me and my dad called that guy back in the day, but and we were convinced, like my dad had me convinced I was like a guy, like an actual guy that like didn't have a jaw or some shit, like straight out of fucking Joyride, if you ever seen that shit. But you know, and another thing about this film, like the mall I think is like the best setting, but like this like feels like very safe up until, you know, that fucking guy pulls that stunt. Miguel, I believe his name is, the boyfriend of Lori. But like okay, so we've got past sort of like that little intro to this thing. Like the only person I want to talk about in this film is fucking Rhodes and Steele, and they are the guys that steal the show, literally, or no pun intended, man. So you got these scientists obviously living amongst these military guys. The military guys are just like blue collar kind of guys, like they just want to get the fuck out of there. And Rhodes has got so many good lines of dialogue. Like obviously, like you know, I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein, like that line, obviously. But like, yeah, everything he says is a fucking line. Like when he's like, you've given us a mouthful of Greek salad. And what's another good one? You want to teach him tricks? I don't want to see him do anything but drop dead. No, drop over or some shit. He's like, and then that fucking Frankenstein guy, who's another character on his own, he's like, is that what you want to do? Drop him or kill him? Kill all of them? Like, he's such a cocksucker. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like if they were going to remake that movie, like George Costanza could be Frankenstein. Man, love that guy. I love all the little side characters. I love how you know what? It's unfortunate I don't remember his name, but the actor that was Martin is in this film as sort of Laurie's buddy that's also a professor that's not out of his fucking mind. Like, I love him in this film. You know, very, you know, good actor. Obviously, this is a Pittsburgh production where everyone sort of knows each other. You got K&B Effects, Tom Savini on the effects. I totally forgot to mention Tom Savini. I've actually got a signed poster over there, like mini poster, signed by Tom Savini to me on my birthday. My cousin got me that. I've mentioned that a million times, but that's one of my prized possessions, man, because Tom Savini, people have told me stories, and I've heard stories that he's an asshole, he's this, he's that, and it's like, you know what? Like, I don't give a fuck. There's other people that are probably even more asshole that I like even more. I like their work even more, you know? So, and like a guy like Savini, he's the kind of guy that's going to get like fucking hundreds of people come through his table. And if you happen to go there near the ass end or like whatever, the guy's munching out, wants to eat or something, you know, I don't know. Like that's the thing. Like, but you know what? At the same time, there's no real good reason he could be fucking rude to a fan. So that's on his. So he is in the wrong if he is being a cocksucker. But like some of these guys, man, like the amount of fucking autographs and like photos and just like, you know. But you know what? At the same time, it's like, dude, you're fucking paying for it, and you don't want them to be a cunt. But tangent over. Obviously, Bub the zombie. Speaking of Seinfeld, I don't know. So I just mentioned Costanza. So there's a guy in this fucking movie that's Bub the zombie, is in Seinfeld. He's the guy that gets the fucking junior mint dropped in him. Is that not insane? So this is actually the Scream Factory version of the film with that cut. I love, this is an amazing this isn't the poster I have over there. It's a big one of Bub. But that's really good stuff. But this commissioned artwork, I believe it's by Nathan Miller. I believe it's Nathan Thomas Milliner or some shit like that. I can't really read it that close, but he does an amazing job with this cover. Like, really like it. I like how, like, the only people that you really see on here that are recognizable are Bubs, the Doctor, Frankenstein, and Rhodes getting his shit twisted at the bottom here. Man, what a fucking killer flick. You know what? I think that Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead, I think that that is like the most unbeatable trilogy in horror. One of them, you know, because like that's the thing, like there's so many good trilogies out there, man. Like Argento alone, the fucking Suspiria, Inferno, is it Mother? I haven't seen the third one yet, but like I know that film came out way later, but I still assume that, you know, those first two movies are pretty fucking damn out there. And then you got those Animal trilogy, you got the Fulci Gates of Hell trilogy, you know, countless other trilogies I can't even fucking think of right now. You know, damn, dude. I also love the guy in this film that's like buddies with the pilot. He's like the guy that does the radio shit. Like everything he says is also like a quote. Like there's that part where he's like, you know, I'll I'll do my best against the good fight against dry rot and rust. He's like an alcoholic, right? And he's always drinking. There's a scene where he's like, have some brandy. It's good for your heart. The girl goes, it's shit for your heart, and it kills and it eats your liver. I just love that guy. And like later on, he's got like the machine gun. He's sort of like a really skinny sort of version of Charles Bronson in a way. Like the way I see him on the back of this cover right here, you'll never be able to make it out, but because I fucking shooting manual focus on this bitch. But I'm just trying to think of another really good fucking phrase that guy says before I end this movie. Oh yeah, where he's like, he's fighting with Steel, and he's like, we'll have to drink all. Steel goes, lay off the fucking booze for a while, why don't you? And get somebody on the horn, pronto. Well, I'm gonna have to lay off the fucking booze, Steel, because if I don't fucking lay off the fucking booze, there's gonna be a fucking left. Like, love that shit, man. God damn it. What a fucking banger of a film, man. Like, it is still depressing when I watch this. It's like, it's not like a happy film in any way. Like, it's happy because it's like got a couple lines that I like to hear, and you get some really good special effects and stuff. But other than that, this is like a sad film. At least in fucking Dawn of the Dead, there's a few parts in there that are kind of like, you know, like the scene where like Roger's like basically dead and they're all in the fucking arcade. And he's like trying on the hat, and then he's like eating fucking pickled onions out of the jar, like that kind of thing. You get like a little smile out of that. And then later on, depending on if you're into the scene or not, the pieing, you know, and the fucking blood pressure guy, the most ridiculous thing ever, Pedro, the high blood pressure bandit. God damn. Yeah. I would say you got a fucking amazing, probably 10 out of 10 movie right here. You know, same with Dawn of the Dead. I don't do a rating system on here because every film I talk about I like pretty much. But if I had to rate this out of 10, it'd be a 10 out of 10. And Dawn of the Dead as well, and Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead is another film I want to talk about, but I'm thinking about maybe doing a commentary on that, like either recording a commentary and then putting it on YouTube, or maybe going live with it and doing it so we could like chat. Like everybody kind of like just watch the screen and we'll chat, whatever the fuck. I'll do something like that eventually, I feel. But until then, we'll just keep on rocking and rolling, man. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody for watching. Please, if you are so inclined, leave a 666 in the comments, and I'll talk to you later. And if there's anyone down there over here behind me, that might give you a clue of what movie's next. So. Adios.